You know that feeling when people talk about Germany and it's all beer gardens, the Autobahn, and World War II history? Like, this country is just lederhosen and somber memorials. Yeah, we're shattering that perception today. If you found Wanderlux Experience, you know we're not here to show you the same Oktoberfest photos or pretend Germany is just bratwurst and BMW factories. We're talking about the real Germany, the one with fairytale castles perched on mountain cliffs, medieval towns preserved perfectly behind ancient walls, vineyard-covered valleys carved by winding rivers, and alpine peaks where you can ski in the morning and swim in lakes by afternoon. We're diving into experiences from the Baltic Sea coast to the Bavarian Alps, from Roman ruins that predate most of Europe to cutting-edge contemporary architecture. So hit that like button and subscribe, because we've got destinations coming your way that prove Germany is way more than just Berlin and Munich's tourist highlights. Neuschwanstein Castle, perched on a rugged hill above the village of Hohenschwangau, is the fairy tale castle that inspired Disney's Sleeping Beauty Castle and stands as King Ludwig II's romantic vision brought to life in the Bavarian Alps. The castle was built in the late 19th century with the intention of being a private retreat for the eccentric king who died mysteriously before its completion in 1886. The interior features elaborate throne rooms, the Singers' Hall inspired by Wagner's operas, and the ornate bedchamber that took 14 craftsmen over 4 years to complete, with intricate wood carvings. The Marienbrücke Bridge offers the classic postcard view of the castle, with the alpine peaks as the backdrop. Visit from May to September for the best weather. Though the castle is open year-round and equally stunning dusted with snow in the winter months. The Brandenburg Gate in Berlin is the neoclassical monument built in 1791 that has witnessed Napoleon's conquests, the Nazi era, and the division and reunification of Germany, making it the symbol of the nation's tumultuous history and ultimate triumph. The gate's 12 Doric columns support the quadriga sculpture of the Goddess of Victory, driving a chariot pulled by 4 horses. Museum Island in the Spree River is the UNESCO World Heritage Site with 5 world-class museums, including the Pergamon Museum, housing the reconstructed Ishtar Gate from ancient Babylon, and the Neues Museum, displaying the famous bust of Nefertiti from ancient Egypt. The Altis Museum showcases classical antiquities, while the Boda Museum features Byzantine art and sculpture collections spanning centuries of human creativity and achievement. The Cologne Cathedral is the Gothic masterpiece that took over 600 years to complete. With its twin spires rising 515 feet, making it Germany's most visited landmark, and the tallest twin-spired church in the world by measurement. The cathedral houses the Shrine of the Three Kings, believed to contain the relics of the 3 wise men from the biblical nativity story, making it an important pilgrimage site for centuries. The stained glass windows include medieval originals and modern additions by artist Gerhard Richter, featuring 11,500 squares of colored glass in 72 colors, creating an abstract masterpiece. Climbing the 533 steps to the South Tower's viewing platform offers panoramic views across the Rhine River and the city of Cologne spreading below. Visit year-round, though the cathedral is particularly atmospheric during the Christmas market season in December. The Marienplatz in Munich is the central square that has been the city's heart since 1158. Dominated by the new town hall with its famous Glockenspiel that performs daily at 11 a.m. and noon, with 32 life-sized figures reenacting stories from Bavarian history. The square is surrounded by historic buildings, including the Old Town Hall and St. Peter's Church, whose tower offers the best views over Munich's rooftops and the distant Alps on clear days. The Viktualienmarkt, adjacent to the square, is the daily food market operating since 1807, with stalls selling fresh produce, flowers, cheese, meat, and traditional Bavarian specialties for locals and tourists alike. The square transforms during Oktoberfest season and Christmas, when markets fill the area with festive stalls, traditional foods, and handcrafted goods. Visit year-round, as each season brings different festivals and atmosphere to this vibrant gathering place in Bavaria's capital city. The Rhine Valley between Koblenz and Mainz is the UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 40 castles and fortresses perched on hilltops overlooking the river and vineyards cascading down the steep slopes, creating Germany's most romantic landscape. The Lorelei Rock is the slate cliff rising 430 feet, where legend says a maiden's song lured sailors to their doom in the river's treacherous currents below. Marksburg Castle near Braubach is the only hilltop castle on the Rhine never destroyed, with its medieval interior perfectly preserved, showing how nobility lived in the Middle Ages. The valley is best explored by river cruise from Koblenz to Rudesheim, passing castle after castle, or by driving the scenic routes along both banks of the river, with stops in wine villages for tastings of the region's famous Riesling wines. The Black Forest in southwestern Germany is the mountainous region of dense evergreen forests. Cuckoo clock villages and spa towns where the Brothers Grimm fairy tales come to life in the landscape of dark woods and half-timbered houses. Treberg is famous for Germany's highest waterfalls, cascading down 7 stages, dropping 163 meters through the forest. And for the shops selling traditional Black Forest cuckoo clocks, handcrafted by local artisans using centuries-old techniques. The Schwarzwald-Hochstrasse, or Black Forest High Road, is the scenic route running 60 kilometers through the forest, connecting Baden-Baden to Freudenstadt, with viewpoints overlooking the valleys below. Lake Titisee is the glacial lake surrounded by forest, offering swimming, boating, and hiking trails around its perimeter in the summer, and ice skating when frozen in the winter months. Visit from May to October for the hiking and outdoor activities in the region. The Reichstag building in Berlin is the seat of the German parliament, with its modern glass dome designed by architect Norman Foster, symbolizing transparency in government and offering 360-degree views across the capital city. The building has witnessed pivotal moments in German history, from its opening in 1894 through the fire in 1933 that helped the Nazis seize power, and its reconstruction after reunification. The dome's mirrored cone in the center reflects light down into the parliamentary chamber below, while visitors walk up the spiral ramps inside the dome, with audio guides explaining the buildings and landmarks visible from the top. The rooftop restaurant Käferdachgarten offers dining with spectacular views, though reservations are essential weeks in advance. Entry to the dome is free, but requires advance registration online, with security screening at the entrance, similar to airport procedures, for all visitors entering the building. Heidelberg on the Neckar River is the romantic university town with the imposing castle ruins overlooking the Altstadt, or Old Town, with its Baroque architecture, narrow lanes, and Germany's oldest university, founded in 1386. The Heidelberg Castle, perched on the hillside, is a magnificent ruin of red sandstone that was destroyed by lightning and war, but remains one of Germany's most impressive castle complexes, with the world's largest wine barrel in its cellars. The Philosopher's Walk is the path along the opposite hillside, offering the classic views across the river to the castle and Old Town below. Named for the university professors who strolled here contemplating life. The Alte Brücke, or Old Bridge, from 1788 spans the Neckar, with the Bridge Monkey statue and the Bridge Gate marking the entrance to the Old Town's cobblestone streets and student taverns. The Elbphilharmonie in Hamburg is the striking concert hall with a wave-like glass structure built atop an old brick warehouse in the Hafen City district, creating one of the world's most acoustically advanced venues and a new landmark for Germany's second-largest city. The plaza viewing platform at 82 feet is open to the public via the world's longest curved escalator, offering panoramic views across the harbor, historic Speicherstadt warehouse district, and the Elbe River flowing to the North Sea. The harbor area includes the Speicherstadt, the world's largest warehouse district, built on timber pile foundations, with red brick buildings housing museums, restaurants, and the Miniature Wonderland, the world's largest model railway exhibition. The Sunday fish market at dawn is a Hamburg tradition since 1703, where vendors sell fresh fish, fruits, and flowers, while live bands play in the market hall, creating a festive atmosphere along the waterfront. Rothenburg ob der Tauber is the perfectly preserved medieval town perched above the Tauber River Valley, with complete town walls, cobblestone streets, half-timbered houses, and Gothic churches, creating the quintessential German fairy tale town that seems frozen in the 16th century. The town walls stretch for over 2 kilometers, with covered walkways allowing you to walk the complete circuit around the town, with views over the red-tiled roofs and the countryside beyond the walls. The Plön line is the most photographed corner, where the road splits around a fountain with half-timbered buildings and towers, creating the iconic image that appears on countless postcards and travel posters. The Medieval Crime Museum displays instruments of punishment and torture from the Middle Ages, while the Christmas Museum celebrates German Christmas traditions year-round, with ornaments and decorations filling the historic building. Visit from May to September for the pleasant weather, or December for the magical Christmas market atmosphere. The Zugspitze, at 2,962 meters, is Germany's highest peak on the Austrian border. Accessible by cogwheel train and cable car, offering alpine views across 4 countries from the summit observation deck. The journey begins in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, with the cogwheel train climbing through tunnels to the Zugspitzplatte Glacier, where a cable car completes the ascent to the summit station at the peak. The summit has viewing platforms on both the German and Austrian sides, restaurants serving traditional alpine cuisine, and a small chapel, making it one of the world's most accessible high mountain experiences. The ski area operates year-round, with glacier skiing possible even in summer months, while hiking trails fan out from the mid-stations through alpine meadows filled with wildflowers. Visit from May to September for the clearest views, though winter brings excellent skiing and the magical atmosphere of the snow-covered peaks surrounding you. Dresden on the Elbe River is the Baroque city rebuilt from the ashes of the devastating World War II bombing that destroyed 90% of the historic center, with painstaking reconstructions returning the city to its former glory as the Florence of the Elbe. The Frauenkirche, or Church of Our Lady, was rebuilt from the original stones between 1994 and 2005. Standing again as a symbol of reconciliation, with its distinctive dome dominating the skyline. The Zwinger Palace is the Baroque masterpiece, housing museums including the Old Masters Picture Gallery, with Raphael's Sistine Madonna, and other masterpieces collected by Saxon rulers over the centuries. The Semper Opera House hosts world-class performances in a sumptuous interior, rebuilt after fire and war, while the Green Vault in the Royal Palace displays one of Europe's most valuable treasure collections, with jewel-encrusted objects and gold artworks filling room after room. The Sanssouci Palace in Potsdam, just outside Berlin, was Frederick the Great's summer residence, built in 1747 as a Rococo gem set in terraced vineyards, where the king could escape court formality and pursue his interests in philosophy and music. The palace name means "without worries" in French, and the intimate building reflects Frederick's personal tastes, with just 10 main rooms, including the marble hall and the concert room, where Frederick played the flute. The palace gardens stretch for 2 kilometers, with fountains, sculptures, the Chinese house, and the Orangery Palace, creating a landscape of formal gardens and romantic follies throughout the park. The new palace at the park's western end is the much larger Baroque palace Frederick built to demonstrate Prussian power after the 7 Years' War, with over 200 rooms, including the spectacular Grotto Hall, decorated with shells, minerals, and fossils. Visit from April to October, when the gardens are at their finest, with flowers blooming throughout the grounds. Lake Constance, or Bodensee, on the borders of Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, is Central Europe's third largest lake, with the historic towns of Konstanz, Lindau, and Meersburg on the German shore, and the flower island of Mainau, creating a Mediterranean atmosphere in the Alpine foothills. The island of Mainau is the botanical paradise owned by the Bernadotte family, with subtropical plants, butterfly house, Baroque palace and gardens that bloom from spring tulips through summer roses to autumn dahlias throughout the seasons. The Zeppelin Museum in Friedrichshafen tells the story of the famous airships built here, including the Hindenburg, with a full-scale reconstruction of part of the airship's interior, showing the luxurious passenger accommodations. The lake offers swimming from beaches, sailing, and bike paths circling the entire shoreline through 3 countries. While wine villages along the German shore produce some of the region's finest wines on slopes overlooking the water. Nuremberg in Bavaria is the medieval city of half-timbered houses, the imposing castle, and historic significance as the site of the Nazi rallies and subsequent war crimes trials that shaped post-war Germany and international law. The Nuremberg Castle complex dates from the 11th century, with the imperial castle perched on sandstone rock overlooking the old town. Once housing Holy Roman emperors and containing the crown jewels of the empire within its walls. The historic old town was 85% destroyed in World War II, but rebuilt to recreate the medieval appearance with the beautiful Hauptmarkt Square, hosting one of Germany's most famous Christmas markets each December. The Documentation Center on the former Nazi rally grounds examines how the Nazis used Nuremberg for propaganda purposes. While the Memoriam Nuremberg trials in the courthouse provides context for the landmark trials that established principles of international criminal law still used today. The Moselle Valley is the winding river valley with steep vineyard-covered slopes, medieval castles, and charming wine villages, creating one of Germany's most scenic wine regions, famous for Riesling wines grown on the slate slopes. Cochem is the picturesque town dominated by the Reichsburg Castle, perched on a conical hill above half-timbered houses lining the riverbank. With wine taverns offering tastings of local wines throughout the town. The valley is best explored by river cruise or by following the Moselle wine route that winds through villages like Bernkastel-Kues, Traben-Trarbach, and Zell, where wineries offer tours and tastings in historic cellars carved into the hillsides. The steep vineyards produce some of the world's finest Riesling wines, with the slate soil imparting a distinctive mineral character to the wines. And harvest time in autumn brings festivals celebrating the new vintage throughout the valley's villages. The Rügen chalk cliffs on Germany's largest island in the Baltic Sea are the brilliant white cliffs rising up to 118 meters above the turquoise water. Immortalized in paintings by Caspar David Friedrich and protected within Jasmund National Park. The Königstuhl, or King's Chair, is the most famous viewpoint, standing 118 meters above the sea. Accessible by trails through the ancient beech forests that cover the island's interior and reach right to the cliff edges. The cliffs are constantly eroding, with occasional dramatic collapses adding boulders to the beaches below. Where fossil hunters search for chalk formations and prehistoric remains washed from the cliffs by the waves. The island's seaside resorts like Binz and Selen feature grand Belle Epoque architecture, long sandy beaches, and historic piers extending into the Baltic with traditional restaurants at their ends, offering fresh fish and sea views. Leipzig in Saxony is the city of music and revolution, where Johann Sebastian Bach worked as cantor of St. Thomas Church for 27 years. And where the peaceful demonstrations in 1989 helped bring down the Berlin Wall and reunify Germany. The St. Thomas Church hosts regular concerts of Bach's music by the famous St. Thomas Boys Choir. And Bach's tomb lies within the church, where visitors pay respects to one of history's greatest composers. The Gewandhaus Orchestra is one of the world's oldest civic orchestras, with concert halls hosting performances in a city that has produced Mendelssohn, Schumann, and Wagner among its musical residents. The Monday demonstrations at the Nikolai Kirche in autumn 1989 grew from hundreds to hundreds of thousands, ultimately forcing the government to open the Berlin Wall. With the Contemporary History Museum documenting this peaceful revolution that changed Europe forever. So there you have it, 20 ways to experience Germany beyond the beer gardens and the Brandenburg Gate selfies that everyone takes. Every recommendation is in the description with practical tips for the timing, transportation, and avoiding the summer crowds at the most popular sites. So you can build your German adventure that shows you this country's incredible diversity, from the alpine peaks to the Baltic coast. Germany may be smaller than Texas, but packs in experiences from Roman ruins and medieval towns to Baroque palaces and contemporary architecture. Creating a destination that honors its complex past while embracing the future with characteristic German efficiency and thoroughness. If this gave you ideas for Germany, smash that subscribe button on Wanderlux Experience. Because we're exploring destinations that prove even countries you think you know have hidden depths waiting to be discovered beneath the surface stereotypes. Drop a comment telling me which German destination you're most excited to visit. Are you Team Fairytale Castles, Team Historic Cities, or Team Rhine Valley Wine Tasting Adventures? Until next time, keep exploring the places that challenge your assumptions about what you thought you knew. And remember, the best travel stories happen when you venture beyond the famous landmarks to discover the authentic experiences that make each destination unique and unforgettable. Now get out there and explore the real Germany.